Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of the Still Learning Podcast, the space where we celebrate growth in all its messy, beautiful, and raw forms. I'm your host, Fortune Fowle, and if you're here, you're right where you need to be, because here we're embracing the beauty of being works in progress. In today's episode, we are going to delve into people-pleasing, how far I've come as an overcome people-pleaser, and the lessons I've learned along the way. So I hope you guys are excited for this episode, and if you're someone who's a people-pleaser or used to be a people-pleaser like me, this one is for you. Hi guys! Thank you so much for joining me again this week. I'm so happy to have you here. I hope your week is going well and that everything's going well in your life. I'm actually recording this after getting back from church, and all I have running through my head today is I'm alive and well. The worship today was incredible, as always, but today was specifically ministering to me. In this moment, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. My heart is heavy. I don't feel 100% my best, but that's okay. I don't always need to be 100% because God is always 100%, right? He can do so much with my 70%, 80%, 90%. Talk about so much even when I'm on 1%. So I hope that you guys can give me grace in this episode today because this is an important one. And when I say that my heart is heavy, it's not in a bad way. I know a lot of the times, like, when someone says their heart is heavy, we might think of it negatively, but it's not. It's a heaviness that feels like a burden, but something that is like a good burden. I don't know how else to explain it. It's a weight, but it's a necessary weight. Like, when I think about strengthening myself, when I go to the gym, when I'm trying to strengthen my body, right, and increases capacity, you have to add weight, right? You have to add, you go from 5 pounds to 10 pounds to 15 pounds to 75 pounds. And what you're doing is increasing your body's capacity to carry, to strengthen itself. And I feel like in that way, that's what I mean by my heart is heavy. There's a weight in it, but this weight, it's not bad. It's good because it is strengthening my heart's capacity to be full of God's word, his desires. It is strengthening my heart, right, to engage in spaces and relationships and situations, circumstances where I can show up like him, where I can unburden the good things he's placed within my heart and share it with others. I don't know if that made sense, but I hope that it did. And even if it didn't, I trust in this moment that the Holy Spirit is making sense of it for you and for me. So that's where I'm at right now, that I'm not feeling 100%. But it's weird. Like, I don't feel 100% right now. I also feel like I'm kind of getting a cold. And I'm really trying to fight this cold, guys. But though I'm not 100%, he's 100%, and that's enough. Who I am right now, where I'm at right now, is enough for God. It's enough, right? Right in this moment, you are enough for God. More than enough, actually. He can still do exactly what he needs to do, has called you to do right here in this moment. Even if your cup isn't full. Oh, how great. Like, the great things he can do with a cup half full. I've seen amazing things God has said when my cup is about to run on empty, when my tank is giving E, and he just makes a way. That's not even what I'm discussing today, guys. That was just an introduction. That was an opening, guys. That was a bonus, I guess, because that was so good, right? You don't need to show up on 100. You just need to show up, and God will do the rest. That was so good. I needed to hear that. I hope you also need to hear that, but in this moment, I really need to hear that. But the purpose for today's episode, and it just hit me, guys. Like, this episode has a purpose. Of course, it has a purpose. This podcast has a purpose, but this is an intentional thing that's happening right now. It's not something that's off the whim or anything like that. This is intentional. This is purposeful. And when things are done intentionally and purposefully, the outcomes and the results are so much greater than things that are passive and don't have that level of intentionality. Because when you're intentional with something, the level of focus, dedication, work ethic that you have to it is far greater, which allows the outcome to be greater. again, like this, you know what, this is all gonna tie up to today because I'm like, this isn't really the agenda for today. I don't know how this correlates with what I'm gonna be discussing in the podcast today, but I know that was good. So the rest is gonna be good. And I'm just letting the Lord move right now. Have your way in this episode and in every episode. But today we're going to be talking about people pleasing. The reason why I want to talk about this and the reason why this episode is so important for me is because not only am I a reformed people pleaser, but people pleasing to me, I genuinely believe, is the thief of identity. You cannot live your identity or be who you're meant to be if you're constantly seeking people to tell you that. If you're constantly living for people, especially when it's people who don't even know who they are, and you expect them to tell them who you are, how are you going to take someone else's word about you when they don't even have a word for themselves? And I've been a people pleaser for majority of my life than I've not been one. I've been like a reformed people pleaser, I want to say maybe almost 3 years. I'm 21. So that means when I do the math, that's like 18 plus years of my life I've been living for people. Kind of scary, not gonna lie. Kind of scary when you break it down like that, the numbers. And I can't tell you the moment or the how or the why, but what I can tell you is my mindset. I was actually talking about it with one of my dear friends not that long ago about my mindset during this time in my life. I'm going to be fully honest and transparent with you guys here. People pleasing stems from not knowing your identity and insecurity. You have an identity problem and you have an insecurity problem. Like, I'm just going to be fully honest here with you guys. And the reason why I say that is because my mindset during that time, how I explained it to my friend was that as a people pleaser, I felt like I was both the problem and the solution. Like I was both responsible for the issue that occurred between me and this person. I was also responsible for finding the solution for this issue, right? And how I was as a people pleaser was just so terrible. It was just terrible. An example of this, I'll actually use something maybe a little bit more current in my life of I'm both the problem and the solution. Here's an example. I have had friends in the past where they would get upset with me because I didn't text them enough, right? I didn't call them enough. And that happened, you know? And so I would hear them out, like, I'm so sorry, I don't want you to think that I don't care about you and I don't value our friendship. So I would call them more, right? I would text them more. I would check in on them more because I'm like, okay, there is an issue here. Clearly, I was the issue because I wasn't reaching out enough. The solution to this is just for me to reach out more. So I am both the problem and I'm also the solution. That's kind of like my mindset as a people pleaser, right? But for contact, right, I'm completely disregarding the fact that they also never reach out to me. It's always me reaching out, actually. They never reach out to me. They never call me. They never check in on me. Every time we talk with one another, it's always what's going on in their life. But as a people pleaser, I'm not noticing that my needs are being neglected by them. I'm only focusing on the fact that their needs are being satisfied. And because their needs are being satisfied, and now I'm, in their eyes, a good friend, a better friend, I'm earning that validation. And it doesn't matter that they're not being a good friend to me because all I'm rooting, like all of my validation, my self-worth is rooted in how other people feel about me. What kind of friend they feel like I am, what kind of a daughter, what kind of a student, what kind of a sister they feel like I am. And so you are hyper critical of yourself, right? You're very tough on yourself. You're very hard on yourself when you have this mindset because you never give yourself grace for when you make a mistake, when you make someone upset, when you have a falling out with someone. You put all the pressure on yourself to make it right, to do right by them, even when other people don't do right by you, even when other people hurt you, because you are so hypercritical of yourself, because you think of yourself so lowly. It goes back to not having enough understanding of your worth, not knowing your identity, insecurities, and seeking that validation from other people. And so if someone told me I was a bad friend to them, oh my gosh, I would literally think I'm the worst person in all of earth. And it's not the case at all, but that's what it felt like because my my identity was tied to whether or not people were pleased with what I was doing. But the truth is, going back to that example I gave, I increased reaching out to them, right? Calling them more, texting them more. But then they come to me with another problem in the relationship and they're like, you know what? I feel like you're actually reaching out to me too much now when like you're always calling me and I'm really busy and I don't have the time to do that. And I feel like you should understand that, right? That's how they come to me now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so right. Like as if they didn't just tell me, as if they weren't the one who told me to reach out to them more. But now they changed their mind and they're like, actually, I want you to reach out less. I feel like this is too much, really high maintenance for me. And I'll be like, yeah, you're so right. You know what? I am reaching out too much. I'm so sorry about that. That's definitely on me. Like, I'll do that as long as I'm still a good friend, as long as I'm still like a good person. You're happy, right? I'm doing exactly what you said. I'm changing myself. I'm changing my life. Even if it's an inconvenience to me, I'll convenient to you. Completely ignoring the fact that the first issue was that I didn't reach out enough. Now the second issue is that I'm reaching out too much. Yeah, no. In my head, and that's like a smaller example of people pleasing and the negative effects of it that it can have on a person. But I fully would not recognize that that isn't fair to me, that that is an injustice being done to me, because I was like willing to ignore that because I was just seeking this validation from it. I was like, I should be lucky that they even still want to be friends with me, that they even see me that way, that they still see me as a good person because I was putting my worth and value in other people. But here's the key thing here. You can never please people. Our needs, our wants, desires, we're constantly evolving and changing. You can never please a person 100%. You're never going to get it right because people are never getting it right with you. You can never get it right with other people. And it's unfair to have that expectation. But I couldn't see that as a people pleaser. I felt like I had to live up to people's expectations of me. I was responsible for filling their needs. And it's like, no, you're not. Because one, you don't have the capacity for that. Two, you would never be able to. You're not God. You would never be able to meet 100% of someone else's needs. And three, you're completely neglecting that you too are also a human being who has needs that also have to be met. You too are worthy of having people desire to be in relationship with you and who desire to meet your needs where they can, right? Who desire to be in communion with you, who desire to talk with you, to be in, like, who desire that, right? Who want to be good friends to you, not just you. It's not just your responsibility to be good to other people, but also to have people be good to you. And as a people pleaser, all you're fixated on is how you can be good to others and not how others are good to you, because all of your identity, all your self-worth is tied to whether or not other people see you as good, not if you see yourself as good. You think that whatever they think of you is going to determine my value. That was my mindset. Whatever they think of me is going to determine my value. A really good example for this, not example, an analogy for this is, imagine you're at an art auction, right? And it's art ranging from various pieces of value. And one of the art that is being auctioned off, right? No one knows the value of the paintings, right? They range from $5 to $1 million. And one of the art pieces that are being auctioned off is, someone thinks that it's ugly, it's hideous. And so they didn't even bother raising their paddle. They didn't even trying to get that piece of art. But to someone else, they see that same painting and they're like, I know this is something of value, and not just something of value, something of high value. So they decide to put up their paddle and put in money to be able to win the painting for themselves. They win the painting. And let's say after the auction is over, the people who were doing the auctioneers, is that what they're called? I don't know the terminology for it. They reveal at the end all the value of every single painting. And that painting, the one that one person saw as ugly and terrible and probably thought it had the least value out of all the paintings that were auctioned, versus the other person who saw the painting and viewed it as valuable, of something of high value. In the end, it's revealed that that ugly painting was actually the painting of the highest value, like $500,000. That's the value. Imagine the shock of that person who first thought it was hideous, low value, compared to the person who saw its value from the beginning. And that's the thing. When you're a people pleaser, when you're in that mindset, you expect everyone around you, you expect the people you're in a relationship with to be able to determine your value. You think people are going to be able to tell you your value, but not everyone has the eye for it. Not everyone has the understanding. Because they looked at the same painting. The painting didn't change. It was the same painting. But one person couldn't see. They lacked the vision. They lacked the ability to comprehend that this was actually the most valuable piece versus another person. Now imagine the painting was changed to accommodate for the fact that one person, because it wasn't able to see its value, thought it was ugly. Imagine if the painting changed itself, tried to make itself what that person would deem as beautiful or of high value or good. It would actually be working against itself and actually be depreciating its value. What made the painting in the first place something of high value? How it was made originally. How it was made originally was perfect. That was good. That was it. That's what made it something $1 million. But now that it's changed itself in order to accommodate to someone who didn't even make it, to this random person in the audience, it changed itself. And now its value has gone down because it is no longer living to what it was originally created for, purpose for. Its value went lower, not higher, because it lost its identity trying to please someone else. And if you haven't gotten it yet, you are the painting and God is the artist. What we haven't talked about here in this analogy is who is the artist of this painting. That is the one who's going to determine your worth, your value, your identity, not the people in the audience. Because not everyone in the audience is going to understand your purpose or even know what you're called for. Some people may. They may have that eye. God had given them that understanding. But even they don't have full understanding. The person who bought the painting, they knew it was of high value, but they didn't know the exact price. They didn't know it would be $1 million. It could have just been $100. They had no idea. They didn't even have full understanding of the value. But the artist does. The one who created the painting. You are the painting. God created you. And you want to know what God said after he created you? Good. You, perfect. You got everything. Everything you need, you already have. He put it inside of you. Just because other people can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. But as a people pleaser, you lose sight of this. You start underestimating your value because you don't understand it. You're asking the wrong people. Oh my gosh. You're asking the wrong people. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Why are you asking a spectator about your purpose when they didn't even make you? They're a spectator. They're just a witness. They're not even a creator. Oh my God. Like, you're asking the wrong person. If you want to understand the purpose of the painting and why it has such high value, you have to go to the person who created it. You have to go to the artist, not the spectator. The person in the audience has an opportunity to either benefit from the high value of the painting or not. One who was able to identify its high value, now they got $500,000. The other person doesn't get to experience that richness and the high goodness that was in that painting because they couldn't see it. But neither one of you can tell you the purpose or what made it so good. Only the artist could. And you missed this as a people pleaser. You missed this in the plot. So you may now be asking, because I think now you guys get it. I think we get it why people pleasing and why I say it is the thief of identity and it's rooted in insecurity. I didn't know my worth because I didn't know my identity. And in turn, I look for people to tell me what they had no knowledge about. They didn't have the understanding for it. They didn't have the capacity. And they didn't even create me. They had no hand in how I was fashioned and made to be. They play no role in this. You're asking the wrong person. So you might be asking, Fortune, how did you realize that? Oh, and this is why this episode is so important to me, guys, because I don't want people to understand and get that revelation the way I did. I'm going to be fully honest with you. How did I stop being a people pleaser. I got burned too many times by people. It didn't matter what I said. It didn't matter how I changed myself, how I made myself less than, how I made myself smaller to accommodate for them. It doesn't matter how much I inconvenience myself. There is always going to be a problem. And when you come to the realization that it doesn't matter what I do, I'm never gonna get it 100% right. I'm never gonna get it 100% right here. I'm not. They're always going to find something wrong. And what am I gonna do? Change again. Accommodate again. Inconvenience myself again. For what? And the thing is, you're not even expecting that from other people, because you, like, and it's crazy. Like, really, people pleasing, and like when you're in the mindset, it's really crazy because you understand the concept of grace and not expecting people to be 100% there for you, and understand that people can't meet 100% every need. But you expect you to be able to have that capability too. You don't. But I mean, I've been burned by people too many times. It actually like hit a breaking point when I had a really, and I mean really, like bad, like friendship breakup happen. And this is why this episode is so important for me, because if you can get it now, you can save yourself so much pain. I had to go through it. I really had to go through it for this to really be broken from me, for me to stop living, for me to really get this, guys. And sometimes things gotta break to get through. Y'all be out here praying for a breakthrough, but you don't understand something's gotta break in order for something to get through. So if you're praying for a breakthrough, you better be willing to have something break. Okay, you better be prepared. You better prepare your mind, prepare your heart. Because God had to break something so this revelation can come through. And though it was hard, and though there was pain and suffering that I had to go through in order to get to this point, I'm grateful for it. I am living in freedom, free of people's ideas of who I'm meant to be, free of their unrealistic expectations. I want to clarify that I'm not saying you shouldn't care for people in your life. You shouldn't seek You shouldn't seek to be the best friend that you can be for people, the best daughter, the best loved one. And that actually connects to my first point here, because I wanted to share with you guys lessons that I've learned in my journey of being a reformed people pleaser. So hear me when I say, I'm not saying that you shouldn't seek to be in good relations with people and love and care for people. Because genuinely, I think a lot of people who are people pleasers and have been people pleasers, I can definitely say this for myself, is that you actually have a heart for people. You love people, you care for people deeply. And I genuinely believe people pleasing is the perversion of loving people in that way, because you make it your whole identity. And it's not meant to be your identity. It's a benefit of your identity. And so that correlates to my first lesson that I learned, guys, is that it's not selfish to put yourself first. You can't be a better anything, a better friend, a better worker, a better partner, a better student, without being a better self. If I don't understand myself, if I'm not the best version of me, and being the best version of me, of who I am, stems from being rooted in the I am that I am. Okay, like that, if I am not the best version of myself, I cannot be good to anyone. I am no good to anyone else if I'm not good for myself. You need to be able to love yourself in order to love others. You can't give what you don't have. I'm not trying to give from an empty well. I'm not. So it's not selfish to put yourself first. You are a priority. Not everyone else is going to make you a priority in their life, but you can definitely make you a priority in your life. When I have a better understanding of who I am and who God has called me to be, I'm actually a better person. My identity is in Christ. So the more I become like Christ, the more loving, the more thoughtful, the more caring I become. I started asking the artist the purpose. I started asking who created me, what is the purpose of my creation? And from the beginning, he said it was good. So that was the first thing I really had to learn. Another thing I had to learn is that I am meant to change. I found that the moment I started becoming more aware of my identity in Christ and became more confident, because remember I told you, what did I say? People pleasing is rooted in insecurity, not knowing identity, right? You really not having an understanding of your worth. But the more I came into who I was called to be, the more confident I became, the more reassured I became. And that made people around me who were so used to me, whoever they said I should be, them upset. I got stuff like, you've changed, like you're not the same. Good. I had a friend actually ask me that. Not ask me that, but we were talking about that. And sometimes people can make us feel bad for changing. I did change. I'm glad you saw it. I'm glad we recognize it here. Like, you are meant to change. You're meant to evolve for the better, not the worse. There's a difference here. Don't be upset if someone feels like you've changed, but the change they're witnessing is one where you are more confident, more assured, that you are actually more aligned with God's plan and purpose for your life. That is not change you should apologize for. That is not change you should feel sorry or guilty for. That is not change that you should then think is bad when God has called it good. Thank that person. Thank them for identifying that. And if how you changed means you're no longer able to conform to who they want you to be for them, it's better to be one who changes than to conform. You are you for a reason. There's no one else like you. And every day you are evolving and stepping further into the person you were exactly called and made to be. And if the way I change aligns exactly with that, then it's good. Even if it doesn't please people, as long as it's pleasing to God, that's all that matters. And that again ties into the next lesson I learned, which was a hard one. It's still something I'm kind of learning and having to accept now. It's okay to outgrow people. Like, it is okay to outgrow people because you outgrew the version they knew. It is okay. It's wonderful when you can grow with people, but sometimes you guys grow at different times. You go in different directions. And so not always who you were then and who you are now, not always will it please or be compatible with the same person, the same people later on. Don't hold that against yourself. Don't delay your growth to accommodate for someone else's growth or lack of growth. I touched on this earlier. You'll never be able to please anyone. No one can even please you. So it's really unfair to expect that of yourself, to be able to please people and meet their needs 100% when you know that's something that isn't able to be done. That is unrealistic. And I've always been someone who's been more hypercritical and tougher on myself than I am for people. And so being a people pleaser only heightened that. And now that I am no longer living that way, and I'm learning to give myself more grace, more patience, forgive myself, and understand that I too am human. The same way I can extend grace and compassion to others, I should be extending it to myself. The next thing I learned was that your needs are just as important. That's another thing I really struggled with. I never paid attention to my own needs. I never really sat with how people neglected me and my friendships and relationships with people as a people pleaser. It wasn't until I was being a people pleaser that I realized, wow, like they actually never showed up though. Like, they actually never reached out to me or texted me. Like, it was definitely giving a one-way friendship at this point. Like, I saw so much value in them. I saw how incredible of a person they were, and I really desired to be in relationship with them, but they didn't see that in me. My needs are just as important. It's not less than another person's. And if I need to set boundaries, if I need to end relationships, whatever the case may be, whatever I need in order to be the best version of me possible, that is okay. Your needs are just as important as anyone else's. Your boundaries, what you need from people, how you need people to show up in your life to feel secured, to feel reassured, to feel loved, you are just as deserving of that as the next person, especially if you are giving that to others. It is not unfair of you to want that in return. You are not selfish for wanting that in return. Your needs are just as important. And sometimes in relation to your needs, I'm not saying seek people to meet 100% of your needs, because again, that's unrealistic, and the only person who can meet 100% of our needs is the Lord. But, wanting friends to show up for you, their presence, their support, their love, that is the bare minimum. That is not outlandish. That is not crazy. That is not something you should feel ashamed for seeking out to have in return. And sometimes, another lesson I had to learn, it's not that they are incapable of doing it. They just don't want to do it for you. You gotta identify that. You gotta be able to discern. One, sometimes people just don't have the capacity or the capability to do that. Again, we all come from different walks of life and perspectives and situations. You have to be able to identify that. Who is the person now? Not saying that you shouldn't see potential in people, but who are they right now? We all, I like to say, have like two boxes in our life. And so are they someone who is self-aware? Are they someone who's continuously someone who's trying to work on bettering themselves? Like, are they someone who is attentive to other people's needs? Are they someone who's a good listener? Who are they right now? Being able to discern that, like, if it's something that's within their capabilities or capacity, and also be able to discern that sometimes it's not that they don't have the ability to be a good listener, or they don't have the ability to show up for you, or they don't have the ability to communicate when they have a problem with you. They just don't want to do it for you. I've had instances like that where I've literally seen people communicate and vocalize their needs or their wants, or take the time to show up for another person and be there for them, and not do the same for me. And so for me, it really shows me, it's not that you're not capable, or you haven't gotten the tools yet, or you haven't been working towards this yet to show up in this way for me. You just don't want to. And that's way different. So be able to understand and discern that, and then also move from there. How you act from there, the boundaries you set from there, determining what kind of relationship you want to have from that person from there. And then not the last thing I learned, because I'm constantly still learning and growing so much in this area, because guys, a majority of my life was spent being a people pleaser. So many things I'm unlearning and so many things I am learning, and understanding that this isn't like arrogance that I'm speaking, because that was another thing I really was like, oh my gosh, like, am I arrogant? Like, because I'm more assured of myself and I'm more confident, and I'm like, if you can't see my value, you don't have to be in my life. Like, that's like the new like confidence I'm walking in. And I was like, no, this isn't arrogance. This is confidence in the Lord and who He's called you to be. Like, you are living out your identity and your value, and you're living it based on the one who created you. There's already a manuscript and a manual He made that tells you exactly who you are and how you're supposed to live. That is rooted in truth and doesn't change. It's the same yesterday, today, and forever. That is eternal. Even if heaven and earth passes away, this isn't arrogance. And so you're not a bad person. Like, I think that's really, like, people pleasing is like, you please people so you're not a bad person. You're not a bad person if you don't get it right with everyone, because you're not. But if I can get it right with God, that is enough. Actually, it's better than enough. So to kind of wrap this up, guys, be someone who pleases God, not people. And that is something I'm walking out day after day after day after day. And it's the best thing that I ever done. There is such a freedom, a confidence, a light in me living for the one who created me, the person I get to discover each and every single day, the person I continue to get to become each and every single day, because I am no longer attached to the idea of what people think of me, and living out exactly who I was meant to be. And so I hope that if you're someone like me who struggled with people pleasing, who is a people pleaser, who's on the other end of people pleasing, and you're a reformed people pleaser like me, wherever you are at right now in your journey, know that you right now is enough. When you were created, He said you were good, so you're good. I'm trying to go from good to great, from great to marvelous, and that's what you're walking out. But right now you're good, and so lift that out. Know that you are someone of value, and not just any value, high value, of great worth, because that's what you were created to be, created to live out greatness for the glory of His name. And even if other people can't see it, He sees it. He knows it. He has declared it, and it will be it. And that's all that matters. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Still Learning. I hope something I shared today encouraged you or gave you a new perspective on how to live out exactly the person you were called to be. and break those chains of people pleasing. If this episode resonated with you, share with a friend or post it on your story. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at StillLearningPod to join our community and stay updated. Also, don't forget to leave a review or a rating. Let me know how I can improve the podcast because I'm constantly still learning, and your support goes a long way and helps others join us along this journey. As a reminder, what it is now is not what it will always be and is not what it will become. Stay encouraged, stay rooted in truth, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!